What is up, guys? It's me, the ALE Double X Prince, here to give you um, a card, the Ultimate SummerSlam Card Challenge. I challenge you guys to do it. I'll give you the rules in a bit, but first I want to give a shout out to JerichoHolic8704, the guy who inspired me to make this video. I saw his Ultimate WrestleMania Card Challenge, and then he did one for NXT TakeOver earlier today or yesterday, depending on when you're watching this. But I want to give a shout out to JerichoHolic8704. He doesn't need it from me because look at my subscribers and look at his subscribers. And if you know me, you at least know JerichoHolic8704. But I want to thank JerichoHolic8704 for inspiring me to try to do this video. He didn't ask me to do it, but he did it, and it inspired me to try to do one myself. So I would thank him for that because this guy is great. One of the first few people I saw when I arrived to the YWC was him, Lundrick, Wrestling Crisis when he was around, Diesel 101 Raw. I remember we were on Ask FM before I went to shit. All of us used to just talk and ask wrestling questions, just have a good time. And back when everything was normal and it was fun to be a wrestling fan, of just like a little thing for ourselves, and then it just became this worldwide thing where the YWC just kind of died down because all of my favorites are gone, or most of my favorites are gone, and the ones who stick around, they either don't make as much content as they used to, or they're just not the same. I'm being real because some of my favorites are not as good as they were back in the day. I'm not gonna call any names, but you know who you are. And some of my favorites, like some of my friends personally here on the YWC, they haven't done any more videos anymore. Hell, I thought I was gonna leave, but I ended up not. So there's that. So anyways, let's stop talking. Again, just check out JerichoHolic8704. A great guy, great YouTuber, one of the best in the YWC. But anyways, here are the rules for the SummerSlam card. You have to pick matches that actually happen. No fantasy booking. You cannot make up matches. So there's that. 7 matches per show. There's going to be a total of 7 matches. The main event has to actually be a main event. It has to be the main event. If you pick Edge and Undertaker, it has to be the main event. If you pick Cena and Nexus, that has to be the main event. I will make an exception. Because technically Alberto Del Rio versus CM Punk was the main event of 2011 SummerSlam. But if you want to pick Cena and Punk, it's all up to you. That's your right. You could pick that match. So there's that. And the opening match has to also be the exact opening match. You could pick Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio from 2002, Enzo and Cass versus Owens and Jericho from 2016. You could only pick them, if you pick those matches, they could only be the opening match. You cannot repeat wrestlers, stipulations, championships, or years. So one match from each show. You cannot pick 2 SummerSlam matches. You cannot pick multiple ladder matches. You cannot pick 5 IC title matches. None of that. World title, you could only pick the WWE Championship, the World Championship, aka the Big Gold Belt, or the Universal Championship, or the ECW Championship if you feel like it. But you cannot pick more than one world title. And then it must consist of a women's title, an IC title, a tag team title, and one world title, like I mentioned. Additional championships such as the US Championship, the Hardcore Championship, the Cruiserweight Championship are allowed just as long as you do not repeat wrestlers. You cannot have 5 Rey Mysterio matches. You cannot have 6 CM Punk matches. You cannot do that because it's not in the rules. And hell, if your first match is an IC title match, you could use it, but you cannot use the IC title match anymore. So if you use the opening match, Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler from 2018, you cannot use the IC title later on the show, and you cannot pick another match from 2018, also known as And you could not also pick a Dolph Ziggler match or a Seth Rollins match going forward. Capiche? Those seems to be the rule. Here you go. Before I get started, let me give you some honorable mentions of some matches that were this close to making it. John Cena and Batista 2008 was so close, but there's a match better, I think, for John Cena to have in my card that actually happened. It was better than Batista and Cena. The feud here was fantastic, and it was a big draw, but they didn't make it. Not a single 2002 SummerSlam match made it, which surprised me because SummerSlam 2002 is arguably one of, if not the best SummerSlam of all time. I almost put Taker and Mankind because I really enjoyed it. It's fun, just filler. It's kind of like a cinematic match before it became the most popular thing. RVD and Jeff Hardy from 2001, I almost picked it, but it's a ladder match, and I already have a ladder match in stored. Perfect and Bret. This one hurts the most. I was this close to putting Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect, but I just couldn't put it because I wanted to put other matches, and it couldn't fit this one particularly. It really upsets me that I didn't put it. And I did not pick Randy Orton and Christian, which is another match, the last match that could have almost made it on this list. I didn't pick it because I wanted the world title to be a main event, and because this wasn't a main event, I couldn't pick it. I couldn't choose it. Oh, one last thing. No pre-show matches. You can't pick Usos and New Day. You cannot pick... what else happened on the pre-show? You cannot pick the B-Team versus the Revival if you feel like it. No Sunday Night Heat matches. None of those. They could only be on the official card of SummerSlam. Anyways, let's begin. My opening match, the one I picked, was from SummerSlam last year. Becky Lynch versus Natalya for the Raw Women's Championship in a submission match. I think the women main eventing a show is great, but opening a match, I always believe, is just as important as it is closing it. And it's nice to have an opening match, Becky Lynch and Natalya. It was a great match, a submission match nonetheless. So it was a great match that I enjoyed watching. Very good, solid match. For SummerSlam last year, it was mediocre at best. Not a bad match, but not a fantastic match. They were all pretty solid matches for the most part. It was an entertaining show, but nothing to write home about in the long run. Second match I have, like I said, 7 matches total. This is the second match. Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero from 2004. I wanted to put either Eddie or Ray in this show, but this is the only one that could fit that I would like to see because while it wasn't as great as the WrestleMania match, this was still a pretty good match and a solid story with Eddie Guerrero getting screwed over by Kurt, the SmackDown general manager at the time. He basically just wants to take his anger out on Kurt. Good little story, good solid story, but Kurt Angle goes over, so wasn't a complete win for Eddie, but I definitely wanted these two in the card, so this is the best thing I could have put. So Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle is my second match that I put. Third match I put Hart Foundation versus Demolition WWF Tag Team Championships 2 out of 3 falls match from 1990. A fantastic match, one of the best tag team matches there is. I didn't put Hardy's, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys because one, I didn't want to put a ladder match and a TLC match, and two, it was kind of like I wanted to see a tag team match. Like I wanted to put a tag team match that, and no disrespect to that match, but it was just basically just a bunch of chaos going around. Nothing to define the tag team match. And this is probably one of the most important matches in the tag team division because one, it showed us great tag team, and two, it ended the longest run from Demolition. At the time, they were the longest running tag team champions, but until the New Day broke that record. But it was a great match and a great historical moment, and this is a very important match for the tag team division. One more thing, no repeating tag team belts either. You cannot have a SmackDown tag team match and a Raw tag team match. You have singles tag team matches like British Bulldog versus the Fabulous Freebirds from the first SummerSlam, I believe that was. You could have that, but you could also have have to have a tag team championship match, if that makes sense. So you could do that if you wanted to. Fourth match on my card, CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar, no disqualification from 2013. Perfect feud. CM Punk, his former colleague, Paul Heyman was upset that CM Punk wanted to do things on his own. That was a big no-no for him. So he brought in the Beast Brock Lesnar to get his anger out. It was a fucking brawl. It was a great match. Just a perfect way to just show two of Paul Heyman's best creations and just showing that these guys matter. And it was just a match that I just enjoyed so much. One of the best. I would have lost it if I didn't put this match on the card. This is the one that made me go, I'm sticking around for WWE. This is a great match, and I want to see where they go next with it. Unfortunately, it wasn't that great. Him feuding with Ryback and Brock Lesnar not coming back after ending the streak or something like that. Yeah. So Brock had a good, Punk not so much. But anyways, fifth match on my ultimate card, Shawn Michaels versus Ramon from the Intercontinental Championship ladder match, 1995, the rematch from WrestleMania 10. It felt like a throw together match because they had nothing for these two, and they worked it out because this was the best match in 1995. To be fair, there was no options because 1995 is one of the worst years of wrestling ever. It just was. So, yeah, there's that. Just a great match. Shawn Michaels got his rematch, and I just had to put an IC match and a ladder match. I had to put this because for me, it was just a brand new, because they didn't do the exact same match. They did different things. They brought more ladders. They did more stuff. Even though it wasn't as great as the WrestleMania 10 match, it was still a fantastic match to have. Sixth match, the co-main event, I put John Cena versus AJ Styles from 2016. The match that made AJ Styles the star he is today. A southern born with the farmer's strength. Without this match, AJ Styles would be buried by now. He'd probably be in the mid-card division or in the tag team division just doing shitty things. So yeah, this match put AJ Styles on the map and made it his house on SmackDown. It was either this or John Cena versus Batista. I needed a John Cena match because I need to build the best card possible, and this was one of them. And I think this was an overall better match. Great match to show their case. So yeah, sixth match was John Cena and AJ Styles. The match that made AJ Styles the face of one of the biggest faces of WWE. So I had to put that. The main event, the seventh match in my card, it is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker from 1998. Just a perfect, well-built main event. Like I said, the world title for me had to be the main event for my show. And it also had to be one of the biggest matches with the two biggest names with the biggest draw at the biggest time ever. Stone Cold Steve Austin vs. The Undertaker had to be my main event for me. It literally had my favorite wrestler of all time versus the face of the WWF at the time, the Attitude Era, Stone Cold Steve Austin. This just had to be the main event because it was just incredible. The build was great. You could say that the match wasn't a technical masterpiece like maybe other matches I could have put like Bryan and Cena. Thank God I didn't put Brock and Reigns. I'm trying to think of some other main events. Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar, that's another one. It wasn't like a technical masterpiece where it's trying to be a 5-star match. It was just trying to tell a story of two big guys just brawling at it. And it was a great match. And it even ended perfectly with both of them shaking hands because this is the first match where they started shaking hands. And it was just a big draw. And to sell a show, you need a big draw with the two biggest names. That's why at WrestleMania 17, they didn't do Kurt Angle versus Stone Cold Steve Austin or Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. They strictly had to do The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin because they were the two biggest names at the time, and they just needed to sell the shit out of WrestleMania 17. So that's why Stone Cold and Undertaker is my main event, because that match drew money, and I need to draw money. So just to recap, this is my card. Becky Lynch versus Natalya for the Raw Women's Championship from 2019. Second match, Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero from 2004. Third match for the tag team belts, Demolition versus the Hart Foundation, 2 out of 3 falls, 1990. Fourth match, CM Punk and Brock Lesnar, no disqualification, 2013. Fifth match, Shawn Michaels versus Ramon, IC title match for the ladder match, 1995. Sixth match, John Cena, AJ Styles 2016. And my main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker. What do you guys think? I hope you guys enjoyed this card. Comment down below what would be your ideal ultimate card for WrestleMania. Again, using real matches that actually happened, what will your card look like? Anyways, it's me, the ALE XXX Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and until then, I'm out.